Vincent Van Gogh, people told him, you can't be a great painter, you only have one ear. You know what he said? I can't hear you.
Listening to Sippin' Sports, a Phillies sports talk morning show with Chris, KJ, and Dalt. Proudly powered by 302 Birds. Let's take it to the show.
Happy Saturday morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sippin' Sports. As you guys can all see, we're rocking that Phillies red. Hopeful that the Phillies will get the job done this week. And as we head down to Pittsburgh, somebody said, I think it might have honestly been Cowboys Chris on his show, that Philly isn't even the best city in its state, let alone America. What do you mean, our state? We're the most relevant city in our state right now, and we have been. Pittsburgh hasn't done anything since, pre-2010, maybe hockey-wise, but who watches hockey? Besides this episode, we'll be talking about it, which I guess I'll just give a quick overview, and we'll dive right into it. But we'll be talking about the Stanley Cup Finals here in a second. Talking about the NBA Finals here in a second. Pittsburgh Pirates versus the Phillies. As I said, Saquon Barkley and the Madden curse potentially being real or not real. KJ McCoy was out at Geno's, so he'll be able to give us some inside scoop. And last but not least, of course, Cjgj Gardner-Johnson is running his mouth again about Vic Fangio. But before all that, let's go ahead and get into our first topic, which I guess we'll let KJ take first. The Oilers take game one of the Stanley Cup Finals. Who are you rooting for? Who are you most excited to see play?
Yeah, I'd probably say, I guess I'm rooting for the Oilers. The funny thing is, me and Chris's buddy, and also your buddy too, our buddy Constantine actually has a weird, rivalry with the Oilers. He just there's this guy who used to go to high school with us, and he liked the Oilers, and so there was just this weird rivalry they had. So I mean, that's the only thing I really know about Edmonton. I mean, my buddy is not a fan of them at all, and has this weird hatred for them. But yeah, I mean, they got game one, and Florida obviously being the defending champs. I mean, you have this is the second year in a row we have this matchup. I mean, you have the Edmonton Oilers with Connor McDavid. And then you got the Florida Panthers with Tkachuk. I believe that's his name, if I'm not mistaken or not. But, I mean, those guys are two of the greatest guys in the league right now, some of the greatest players for sure. So it's a pretty good matchup. And, I mean, the Panthers are trying to defend their title against a team that they faced last year, which you don't really see too often. You don't really see a rematch right away. I mean, obviously we're seeing that with the Eagles and the Chiefs. We saw them in the Super Bowl, but I mean, to get it back to back, I mean, that's pretty crazy and pretty ironic.
Yeah. Chris, any thoughts on it?
I don't give a shit. The Flyers aren't in it. I could.
So that means every year you don't give a shit then.
No, I haven't watched playoff hockey since the Flyers were in it. I just can't. I get no enjoyment out of sports that my teams aren't in. I can sit there and have it on the background every now and then, but I don't give a shit. I really don't.
Yeah. I'll say, I think that for me, I'm excited to see Connor McDavid with the Oilers. I think he's just an exciting player. He's definitely earned his. There was that series last year, I guess it was the finals, or 2 years ago, where they were right there. They almost had it. They were down 3-0. Then they came back. They forced it to game 7, and they couldn't get the job done, which is frustrating. But I really, really think that the Oilers have a good chance. They're coming out with vengeance. It's almost like the Eagles were, right? us with Super Bowl 57 and then coming back to 59. When you're a team that loses a Super Bowl, not the 49ers, sorry, but pretty much every other team otherwise, the Rams, when they lost to the Patriots, came back a couple years later, beat the Bengals. So I feel like odds are in the Oilers' favor. I almost want to bet on the Oilers just for that reason. But if there's any Oilers fans out there, good luck to you guys. I know as a podcast, I believe we're all wishing you well and hoping that you guys.
Except Constantine, he's not.
Yeah, except Constantine, he's not. But moving on now to our next topic, which is going to be setting the pace for the NBA Finals. And I'll bounce past it to you first, KJ McCoy. I mean, how are you feeling about the NBA Finals and the Pacers? Can we complete the process?
I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't feel like the finals. And here's the reason why. It's different than all the other years. I feel like maybe last year they didn't have it either, but on the court, it just looks like it's a regular season game. There's no advertising for the finals. There's no big trophy in the middle of the court. Not even like a little icon that says the finals. It just looks like a regular season game. Like they're treating it like it's a regular season game. Obviously, it's not the magnitude of it. But, I mean, last night, the Thunder, they were dominating pretty much the whole game till the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, I mean, the last minute, all of a sudden, the Pacers start coming back, just like they did in game one against the Knicks last series in the Eastern Conference Finals. Somehow they know how to really just come out in the clutch. Like they're insane when there's a certain time, and out of nowhere they just put their foot on the gas, and out of nowhere they just come out of they come out of nowhere. It's freaking crazy. So, I mean, I had no idea. My brother turned it off because he's like, oh, the Thunder are going to win this game. And I thought so too, but I watched until the end. And the Pacers were just out of nowhere, just nailing shots. And then Halliburton, once again, just like he did game one against the Knicks, he did the same thing where he had a really clutch shot where I was like, what the heck? And I was like, are you serious? And with 0.3 seconds left, the Pacers get the first lead of the game in Oklahoma City, where they silenced that crowd. So that was definitely, I mean, for a matchup that's not the most exciting matchup in the world, you don't have any legit. I mean, you could say SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar for sure. He's an MVP player. He won the MVP. But for the Pacers, they really don't have one single superstar. I mean, you could say Tyrese Halliburton, but they have a lot of guys that step up. Their bench players step up. Our former guy, TJ McConnell, steps up for the Pacers, which is really cool to see. Our buddy TJ McConnell, go out there and actually contribute to this team. So, I mean, he's nailing shots. He's giving out great assists. He's getting some great steals, some fast break points. So that's great to see from a former Sixer. And also the Thunder, they got a former Sixer as well in Isaiah Joe, who we waived a couple years ago. I don't know why we waived him, but, I mean, that's another day. But, yeah, it's been a weird finals. You would have never thought that this would be the matchup, the Pacers versus the Thunder. It's just been weird to think that this is the finals matchup we've all been waiting for. It's not the most exciting, I'll tell you that, as a basketball fan. It's not the most exciting.
I saw somebody online, I think it was on Twitter, say they're calling it the Hillbilly Finals because it's it's Indiana versus Oklahoma City. It's two places in the middle of nowhere. So I do think that that's funny. I'll say, I don't know who I want to win. I don't really care that much about basketball enough to say, okay, this one team I'd like to see win. But there are players on each side, like Isaiah Joe, especially TJ McConnell. I feel like that's why I'm leaning towards the Pacers if I had to pick someone. But also Oklahoma City, as kids, we used to watch with Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. And that whole city and that whole fandom has really been through the ringer. I think that there was 2 or 3 years straight that they went to the conference finals and lost. So they were, and maybe there was a year that they went to the finals and lost too. So I don't know. I would just love to see Oklahoma City get a championship. I feel like it would be cool for them and it would be exciting. But moving on now to our next topic, which, Chris, I'll let you take this one first. To Pittsburgh we go. I know you've been screaming about it up and down. How are you feeling about this series? Confident, not confident?
Not confident at all. You know, we had to start with a fucking bullpen game today.
Yeah.
And it's they scored a couple runs in that last inning. It's 4-2 right now. We are pre-recording, but so they should win this game. They should sweep this series. It's a shit Pittsburgh team, but I just have absolutely zero confidence in the Philadelphia Phillies right now. Bryce Harper's still hurt. He should have went on the IL and he didn't. Now it's a wrist injury, which I think it's still probably connected to the whole elbow thing that happened earlier before. So it's a shit show with this Phillies team right now. I just got no sort of hype at all. Even though their record says they're a good team, I just see bonehead after bonehead after bonehead mistake out there. Like no sort of enthusiasm to play the game, no young youth. I think he just gave up a 2-run homer.
God damn it.
He really?
Bitch. It's 4-4.
He just gave it up.
Like I said, I have no fucking enthusiasm for this piece of shit team. Fuck them.
Yeah. It's a weird time right now. Obviously, the Phillies they're right in first place in the NL, which is great to see. But at the same time, as Chris is just saying too, I mean, like having Bryce Harper, your leader, out right now, I mean, and also with just more injuries, I mean, it's concerning for sure. And it does kind of kill your confidence. So I think with this team, though, they've been able to win some games with them. I mean, without them, but I mean, also at the same time, it's very it is very concerning when, especially when you have some pitchers like, I mean, right now, it is really like surprising and shocking to see Jesus Luzardo just really screwing the pooch right now. And he's doing horrible. I mean, it's just like he's been given. Well, how many runs has it been now, Chris, for 2 games? 20 runs?
20 runs. Yeah. I mean, this is who he is. You know,
I guess so. And I mean, I guess it really has to do with like, and I know that we were all hyped up for this guy. He's looking like a Cy Young pitcher. But also the thing with him, too, is that now he's playing. He went from like maybe like 50 fans in Miami to now you have a full Citizens Bank Park where you got to really like, you actually got to like somehow, I'm trying to think of the word, but get comfortable with that. And he seems like now he's really letting it phase him, which really sucks because it's hurting this team just a little bit. Obviously, I mean, like they've been on like a good streak where like now they're in first place, but there are some games though that are games that you should be winning, and we're not getting those wins, which is really concerning. So, yeah, hopefully they can sweep this series. It would be very sad if they don't. I think if any of the games that we lose, I think it's probably Sunday when we take on Paul Skeens. So shout out to Livy Dunn who commented on my TikTok. That was pretty cool. But yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, as Chris just said though, 4-4, not good.
Livy McCoy commenting on the TikToks, not Skeens much longer.
I could see it.
Oh, geez.
Chris and I can hear the wedding bells, Mac. Get ready. But yeah, it'll be a fun series. I think that Philly and Pittsburgh fans also have a good rivalry. Like it is kind of a mutual respect being from the same state, and we are kind of cut from the same cloth. So I think it's going to be a fun series. Also, McCutcheon, that whole thing, Uncle Larry, that's always fun. So it should be a good series. I know our guy, shout out to Casey Pitt, if you guys don't know him, from Rare Vintage. I believe he actually went to Pitt college out there. And he loves Pittsburgh. He knows all the great places to go for food, for thrift, everything. And I know he's out there this weekend. He's enjoying himself. I don't know if you saw the video yet, KJ. He did a trade with a guy where he gave him a St. Joe's jersey, a Jameer Nelson. And the dude actually played for the team. Yeah.
He was signed.
So,
yeah, the guy apparently played for the team. I saw that. And then he also got a warm-up jacket from him as well. It was a pretty cool trade.
The Hawk will never die, baby. But it was just cool to see. So I know Casey's out there this weekend and a lot of other Philadelphians that really embrace the whole city of Pittsburgh and what it is. And I think that's so cool. I think that's awesome. So hopefully the Phillies can get the job done. Let us know in the comments right now, who do you guys want to see thrive in this series for the Phillies? Who do you really want to see step up to the plate? Obviously, Bryce Harper's been out. Looks like he might be out a little bit longer with that injury. Who do you want to see step up? Because clearly the Phillies need a guy right now. Moving along now to our next topic, which I wish I had like a lightning bolt to cue, because is Saquon Barkley cursed? That's how it feels. I mean, Jesus Christ. For God's sake, the day and I love Madden. I have 10 games. Madden 16 through Madden 25, right? Like I play one game. The day after EA Sports and Madden announces that Saquon Barkley is going to be on the cover of Madden, he literally announces that he might retire after next season. Are you fucking kidding me? Come on, man. Like we just got this. This is so nice. This is amazing. It really upsets me as a Philly fan that it's going to be short-lived. If we win a Super Bowl this year, you have the pass to do whatever you want. Not saying you don't either way. You got a Super Bowl, right? I'm grateful for that. I just feel like Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line can achieve so much more greatness. Why end it now? Why stop at one trophy? Why not go for multiple? And I know he definitely wants to get multiple. That's his end goal. But once he leaves, I mean, what do you guys think? That's a fun debate to have too. What does this offense become when Barkley leaves?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm annoyed with there is like they just signed him to a 3-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're saying, oh, I might retire after this year. Like that's a little dickheadish, you know? Not that he's not worth the money and not that he didn't deserve that money, but like you just signed a 3-year extension saying, hey, I'm going to play here for 3 more years. Or really it's 5 more years, basically. And you're like, yeah, I might retire after this year. Well, now they're screwed and they're going to have to pay him all that money. Like, that's going to suck. Hopefully there's not like a ton of guarantees in there, or like there's certain incentives and stuff he's got to hit to make that money so we don't really get screwed over. I do think that Barkley is going to be cursed this year, but I think it was always going to be that way. Like, for him to go off like he did last year, literally broke the all-time record for rushing combined with playoffs. That's just like it was bound to have a down year. Now, it's funny because a down year for him could be 1,800 yards from what he was last year, and that's still a hell of a year. But as a guy who's got a lot of injury history as well, I kind of expect a down year, and that's why they signed A.J. Dillon, too, to be a nice little backup.
Very true.
Yeah, so I actually had the time to actually go check out where they have all the promotional advertising for the new Madden game for Saquon, where they had it at Geno's, where they are calling it Staquon's temporarily. So I checked that out. I got an extra cup for Dalton. So he wanted me to get him a cup. So I got him one of those cups, even though he still thinks it's going to be a curse, but I still got him a cup. So
hey, it's done now, bro. I might as well live in the moment, right?
Yeah, live in the moment. So, but yeah, I mean, I've been trying to tell people like this, like, obviously there's been a player to break this curse before. And I'm not really a guy who believes in curses. I don't believe in like voodoo and that kind of crap, like witchcraft or whatever it is. And I think a lot of that is all hoopla. I think it's a bunch of bull crap. It makes no sense. And I think with the Madden curse, I mean, you've seen a player like Patrick Mahomes beat it, a guy who was dominant, a guy who is a great talent. I think that's the same thing with Saquon Barkley. He's an amazing talent. The problem was, obviously, and we kind of talked about this with Dennis was on the show on Wednesday, and he kind of mentioned this too. He's had some injuries in the past, and he's also had not the best team around him, and that was with New York. But also, as we were just saying before, though, too, he has a way better offensive line now. He has an offensive line that's young, an offensive line coach that knows how to work with these young offensive linemen, and they know how to protect their running backs. They know how to protect the quarterback as well, and Jalen Hurts. They know how to protect their players, and they play good, fundamental, offensive line football, which is great. I mean, great blocking. I mean, they know how to protect. They know how to protect their teammates. But I think with this curse, I somehow feel like Saquon's just like a fan of like the whole Madden itself. He played it as a kid, which is cool. And I think he realizes too that he's hearing all this bunch of crap that, oh, there's gonna be a curse, you're gonna get injured, you're gonna get this. And I think also, like, when he played last year for us, there was a lot of negative talk, a lot of bad sayings especially from the Giants fans. There was a lot of bad voodoo that was wished on him, a lot of bad wishes, like, oh, they wanted him to get hurt. We saw it too, Dalt. We saw somebody with a big pole at the Giants stadium, and they're burning Saquon Barkley's jersey like he killed someone. And it's like, dude, it's not that deep. I mean, you guys did not give him the contract he deserved. You guys did not bring him any talent with the offensive line. You guys had him for 6 years, and you couldn't give him a single offensive lineman to actually block for him. So that's the main thing that I feel like there's so much negative noise that I feel like he just proved them wrong. And then he actually went out there and won a freaking Super Bowl. So I think with this, obviously there's negative noise. There's now a test where he's got to be like, all right, you know what? This is an obstacle that you have to overcome. You got to jump through this obstacle. How do you do that? Well, you go out there, you have a Pro Bowl season. You have an MVP caliber season. You don't get hurt, just like last year. That is hard to do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you're playing football. So, I mean, last year, very fortunate, very blessed that he did not get hurt. But it could happen again. It definitely could happen. But I do think he is going out there with a chip on his shoulder. And I think he will prove a lot of people wrong. And I think he will go out there and he will break this so-called curse that everyone is crying about, especially Dalt. Sorry, Dalt, but I mean, that's what's happening. I think he will honestly make you eat your words. But
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm buying a copy either way at this point. It's done. The deed is done. He's on the cover. Congratulations, because it is an honor to be on the cover. Like, you're not a nobody if you're on the cover. And I will say history over the past 5 years is in Saquon Barkley's favor. The Madden curse hasn't really existed. But last year, I think Christian McCaffrey, obviously everybody says that was a curse, but it's also Christian McCaffrey. He's injury prone too. Like, let's just call it like it is, right? So that one may be kind of, not a fair sample size. It will be very interesting to see. I'll say this. If Saquon Barkley goes out and makes me eat my words, God bless him. Because even after all that he's accomplished, he will still be able to be extremely humble and focused on his craft and be able to do his job at the highest level, which is not an easy thing. Like, there was that scene that Gilly and Wallow did, and they're like talking about when fame gets to a man's head. And I won't repeat what they said, but you guys can go watch it for yourself. They're like in the coaching room in Pittsburgh. And it's true. Fame does go to a man's head. When you win a Super Bowl, you're going to have all these people all over you, all these women, all these things. And obviously Saquon Barkley has a family, he's got a wife, stuff like that. But my point that I'm making is it doesn't seem like it's gone to any of these players' heads. They seem like the same kind of player. They seem like they have the same kind of ego, and they seem like they kind of have the same demeanor, which I think is awesome. As an Eagles fan, that should tell you that they are just as hungry as they were before we got this ring. And that may mean that we may get a third one soon. Go Birds. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
But moving on now. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Say it back, right? But Cjgj, he's running his mouth again. And I thought this was kind of disrespectful. I'll go ahead and take this one first because I have a couple things to say about it. Obviously, this is one time where I'm not going to eat my words, KJ, right?
Yeah,
I was the one who wanted head case gone. And I loved Cjgj when he first came here. It was that I watched what happened the first time around, right? He left. He went to Detroit. He called Philly people, the worst fans in the NFL, I believe. Called us, I forget what it was. Annoying was the term I think that he used. But mainly my thing is, when he left the Eagles the first time around, all he did was yap. Then he came back to the Eagles. He still yapped, but it was a different kind of yap. It was the right kind of yapping. And that's why all these Eagles fans are so attached to Cjgj Gardner-Johnson, is because he was a trash talker. And I get it. He has that edge to him. He's a very exciting player. But at the same time, he's like lightning in a bottle. It can be dangerous too. You know, when you let him out in the locker room, there was a lot of talks that he was not really as involved in the locker room as people thought, that he was kind of standoffish, a black sheep, some may say. And I think with him, the biggest thing with Cjgj Gardner-Johnson is he just needs to be able to, like, be a team player and also know when to bite his tongue. Like, great NFL players, some of them know when to bite their tongue, some of them don't. Antonio Brown, right? Key example. If Antonio Brown would have knew when to bite his tongue, he could have extended his career a lot longer and made a shit ton more money. But because he didn't, because he's a fucking head case, he lost out on money. So I think eventually Cjgj Gardner-Johnson could go down that same road where teams are going to be like, you know what? You just yap way too much. I do not want to bring you in this locker room. I'll definitely say this. Now, there is no shot in hell I think he ever comes back to Philadelphia. If he does, it's going to be on like a 1-year deal when he's at the end of his career so that he can retire a Philadelphia Eagle, and it's going to basically be so that he feels good. Like, it's not going to be anything else. I know definitely Howie Roseman and Vic Fangio are looking at each other right now going, whoo, thank God we dodged that bullet, because he's also like out there like, they found their blueprint with me. Now he can go get his boy Justin Simmons. No, he just wants somebody that's going to play the role that he needs to. And unfortunately, you wanted to get paid. Howie traded you because that's how it goes. And look at the way you're reacting now. I think if anything, that shows your true colors. Like, you're not helping yourself out by running your mouth even more. That's my take.
Yeah, there's a reason he's been on so many different teams over the last 5 years. Like, it has nothing to do with on the field play. He's a hell of a player. We know this. He just doesn't shut the fuck up, like, ever. And it's like there's certain times where, okay, talk your shit, but there's also certain times where it's like, bro, just sit back. It's fine. Like, you just won the Super Bowl here. You don't need to run your mouth even more. Like, the same thing happened with Bryce Huff last week. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, I get it. You're mad that you got traded from the best team in the NFL, and now you're on a shit team. Sorry, but I really don't think it was as much a salary cap move as they're trying to say it is. I really think there's some off the field shit there that made them do this, and it's coming even more relevant now because it just seems like he just doesn't ever shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Cjgj, it's a very interesting situation with him. There's a lot of people that like Cjgj, as we were talking about before. I mean, a lot of people really did feel like both of these Super Bowl appearances really have to do with having a great safety presence in Cjgj Gardner-Johnson, a true ball hawk, a guy who really knows where the ball can be. I mean, he's able to just find it out of nowhere. And I mean, like, he led the league in like interceptions one of the years that we had him. But yeah, I mean, as Dalton was saying before, though, the guy was talking crap about us, calling us, I mean, just like horrible fans. He was really just like calling us out for just like bull crap. It made no sense. And a lot of just like uncalled for, just like total, stereotypes, which a lot of people like to do. A lot of players love to put these stereotypes on Philadelphia fans, which we're kind of used to it. I mean, we've kind of embraced that, and it is what it is. And we can't really get rid of that. I mean, with Cjgj, it's funny because I thought when he got traded, the way that he kind of exited, I was like, okay, you know what? He's kind of being humble. He's kind of being like, all right, you know what? I see he was like, you know what? I see what they're doing. They're trying to really help out the young guys. And he's like, I was the first guy to really get moved on from. So I kind of see what they're doing. But then all of a sudden, there's something else that pops up, something else where he's got to be like, all right, well, I was being nice there, but here's my actual bad side. And that's where he goes off a little bit on a tangent, and he starts saying this whole narrative. I mean, that there's it's a bad locker room and all this other stuff, and like how Vic Fangio wanted Justin Simmons and everything like that. But here's the thing. Justin Simmons is still not here. There still is no talks about him coming here. I haven't heard anything about that. So I don't think the whole Justin Simmons thing is a bunch of just like rubbish. And I mean, it's a bunch of hoopla. It makes no sense. So I think with CJ, I don't hate the guy. I really don't. I do respect the game that he had. I mean, that he really did go out every game and play like it was his last. I mean, he really did go out there and try his hardest. And I mean, he balled out. He definitely did. And it sucks to see him go out like that, obviously, and get traded like that. But we'll see how this team really kind of transitions from that and kind of actually is like, okay, you know what? We don't have Cjgj Gardner-Johnson. Can we go back to a Super Bowl without a safety like him? Because 2 of the times we just went to the Super Bowl, Cjgj Gardner-Johnson was on the roster. The one we lost, the first one, and then this one, the one we won. So people were like, oh, we're not going to go back to Super Bowl because CJ's not here. I don't think that's really true, but I think it's interesting, though. It's something to really kind of keep in the back of your head, though, what this team will look like on defense without Cjgj Gardner-Johnson, a veteran safety who's been in the league for a little bit, enough to really be an impact player. So we'll see how they really do, because right now the safety position is a question mark right now. It definitely is. Is it going to be Sidney Brown? Is it going to be Makuba? We don't know. And we got to figure that out this offseason. So, I mean, it's a big question mark, I think, for sure.
Yeah. I'll make the bold take. Reed Blankenship was also on this team, Dennis, when the Eagles made the Super Bowl both times. So I think with, like KJ said, they got a lot of depth with players like Makuba, other guys that they can kind of cut loose at the safety position. And it's like, all right, let's see what you got, kid. Get all that out early in the season. They did the same thing with the corners last year. They completely revamped that secondary by drafting 2 great players, and then they gave them the reins early in the year. They let them make some mistakes. They weren't hard on them. And look at how great Cooper and Quinyon got by the end of the year. So I hope that the Eagles will do the same thing with the safety. And if they do, you may see another like insane secondary comparable to the Seattle Seahawks, like Legion of Boom type of secondary, right? Where they had Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and I think it was Byron Maxwell. So that would just be absurd if the Eagles had a generational secondary like that, which they are on their way to. So stay tuned.
Eagles legend. That's right. That's right, Jaden. Yeah, not at all. He was
Byron Maxwell, man. I think I might have had his jersey when he first came here, and that might have been the only jersey I've ever burned.
It's the worst
that jersey and Nnamdi Asomugha, 2 corners that were really overhyped, and they just did not work out here.
Shows that we just need to draft them, not sign them. That's how it works out for this organization. But
Slay worked out well.
Slay did work out well. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it was a trade, though.
Other than Slay, though, I can't really think of many others. Patrick Robinson, maybe, but like, that's a 1 year. That's a one-off. I agree with you. Like long term, when they get booked, they usually doesn't work out well. Yeah. But that's all we got for you guys this weekend. I want to thank our producer Jaden backstage for crushing it as always. He's doing a great job taking the reins, really taking the bull by the horns and throwing that motherfucker. So Jaden, we appreciate you, dude, and keep up the great work. Other than that, though, if you guys haven't, please leave a comment, like, or subscribe. Really, all 3. That helps us out a ton with trying to grow the channel. And I hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. Deuces!